see the frame, the black border?
You want to go up?
Well, I just
You
figure
fucking
let's be in the middle.
son of a bitch.
I just figure let's be a little symmetrical. I don't know.
You anal retentive whore.
I know. Okay, now that's better. But
What?
no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm fucking with you.
We're putting that in.
Is this? Are we?
We're recording right now.
Oh my god. Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome into the 90s Guys podcast. My name's Brian.
And I'm Jed.
And we are the 90s Guys. And damn it, we're so glad to be back here hanging out with you. What a good time we're going to have today.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Good.
Oh, by the way, do you want me to plug in your phone again?
Yeah, plug that in. I'm going to
Okay.
throw it to you. Ready? Good catch. I'm a little low today. I didn't charge my phone last night, and that's a rookie mistake.
It is, but don't you worry. I got charging ports all over the place.
Jed, before we get started, I'd like to say one thing.
What?
You know how last episode I promoted you to technical director of the podcast?
I am no longer technical director.
You are being demoted. You are no longer technical director. Please
Can we
explain
tell
what
why?
happened.
Yes.
Please go ahead. You.
So,
the former technical
Brian
director.
and I went through and started filming the beginning of this episode, and I realized that it was not picking us up on the audio. So I tried to figure it out, and I was like, fuck it, we'll do it. We'll restart this whole thing. And it still wasn't picking us up. And then I realized to listen to the last podcast that we did, or last video that we did, I had Brian and I turned down our mics completely, and we've got to turn it back on. So it's not technically my fault, too. It's your fault as well, because you didn't remember that either.
Well, listen. Let's just be honest. If a ship, let's say like the Titanic goes down, okay?
Okay.
Is the captain responsible,
Yes.
or are the people on the ship responsible?
Those people on the ship are...
We all know the answer to that question.
Well, you were the guy up in the crow's nest saying that should have warned him about the iceberg well before.
It's an iceberg. How do you know when an iceberg's coming? It's all under the water. This guy. You're out, pal. You're out. You're done.
All right, well, have fun recording someplace
No,
else.
okay. You can keep your position, but let's just say you're on thin ice.
I'm on thin ice. You better not mention that again.
You're on thin ice.
Yeah.
So.
So we left you with a cliffhanger
Bum, bum, bum.
on our last episode.
What was the cliffhanger?
So
Tickle their tits real quick.
during the holidays in 2019, because now we're in 2020,
Right. True.
Brian did something that made national news. It blew up here in St. Louis, but it also made it to other networks.
The Today Show,
The Today Show,
NPR,
NPR,
and others.
and others. And I didn't hear anything about it until Brian told me about it. And when he told me about it, I lost it. I thought it was hilarious. And from now on, I will always refer to him as the Pie Bandit. Brian, would you like to go into your story?
Yes, and I would like to make mention that this is the first time that I'm revealing to the public that I am indeed the Baldwin, Missouri Pie Bandit.
Right.
Okay?
Everybody was trying to figure this out. This made it onto one of the biggest radio shows.
The number
here
one
St.
show in
Louis.
town.
Yeah, the Riz Show. And they talked about it 3 separate times. Not just once, not just twice, but 3 separate times trying to figure out who this person was.
Yep. And I want to say about the Riz Show, I sent them an audio clip and just said that I'm not ready to reveal myself. And they played it on the show.
Oh,
And I
nice.
listened to it that morning. I'm like, wow, that's weird. So
Anyway, go ahead.
Here's the deal. My wife and I, we were going to Thanksgiving dinner at my cousin's house. Okay? At the time, we were in the middle of a transition. We had our house up on the market for sale, and we were staying at my in-laws' place way out in the country. And, man, I'm telling you, the thing is in the boonies. We were living in a trailer for a couple months. Actually, for about a month.
I was going to say, what's different?
Oh!
Trailer trash.
Oh! Let's compare houses. No.
Touche.
Okay, nonetheless, this house, he was remodeling. My father-in-law was remodeling at the time. So it didn't have a working fridge.
Oh,
Okay? Right. So everyone at Thanksgiving gets responsibilities. Someone gets the appetizer. Someone gets the side. Someone gets the dessert. And guess who got stuck getting the dessert this year?
That guy.
This guy. And so we couldn't get the pie. We were supposed to get pies and ice cream. That was our 2 requirements. And because we didn't have a refrigerator, we couldn't get either in advance. How are we supposed to keep it cold? So, the day, Thanksgiving Day, we're driving around. We go to all the local grocery stores. We go to Walgreens. We go to frickin' everywhere. And no one had pies. No one had pies. Walgreens had ice cream. We got ice cream at Walgreens. No one had pies.
They have everything, I thought.
Not pies.
Oh, okay.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'll get a Walgreens.
Even Quick Trip has pies. They're probably sold out, though.
I didn't check.
They have the Eckert's pie, and they sell out really quick.
Hey, I didn't even think about it. I'm thinking I wouldn't think of a gas station.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, I almost vomited. So, we finally I say, sweetie, I know where a Honey Baked Ham store is. Let's go to the Honey Baked Ham store. They'll have pies, Oh my gosh, they're the pie people. I didn't actually know if they had pies or not. I was guessing. So we pull up to the Honey Baked Ham store, and I will say there was no one in the parking lot. There were 0 cars, no one to be seen for a mile. But we pull up to the front, basically right to the front door. The lights are on, and I said, well, if the lights are on, they must be open. So I said, I'll go check the door. I walk up, Kat stays in the car, my wife, and I go in to try the door, and I pull it. The door opens up. No problemo. I'm like, oh, they're open. I walk in. All the lights are on. It's warm. They're playing Christmas music.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. But there's no one behind the counter. So I start going, hello, hey, anybody here? Nobody. So then I kind of start to walk around. I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out, are they in the bathroom? Are they in the back? I peek around, and I look into their, office area. Lights are on back there. I'm like, someone's here.
So every sign that you see is that somebody should be there.
I'm like...
The doors are unlocked.
Yeah.
The lights are on. The radio's going, and there's warm air in there.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty cold around that time.
It was a cold day.
Yeah.
I just expected someone to randomly come out and go, oh, hey, how can I help you? That's my full expectation. So finally, after a couple of minutes, I'm going, either no one's here or the person who was here was brutally murdered in the back, and I have no idea.
And Brian does not want to go look.
And I'm not going to find a bloody body. So I go out to my car, and I'm like, sweetie, I'll be honest with you. I see the pies. There are pies in there. And, man, they look good. But so basically, the way the Honey Baked Ham store is, there's behind the counter is a big refrigerator, and it's all see-through. It's all just glass. And I'm looking at the pies. I'm like, there are my pies. My beautiful pies, which I can't find anywhere. And they're right there. So what I do is I go to the car, and I said, sweetie, do you have a notepad and a pen? She's like, I got one here. I'm like, write a note explaining that we need these pies.
And, of course, use her handwriting because...
I don't want to get caught.
Well, not that, but you can't read your handwriting.
They'd get it and they'd go, oh, this is a sick person.
Yeah.
So I said, write a note. I said, tell them we're in desperate need of pies, and we're going to leave the money. And I'm like, give me the money. So the pies were $11 each. And listen, I work for a small business. I'm a small business owner. I would never, ever try to cheat someone out of money. So what I did was I put down, I believe it was $26. Yeah. I brought $26, and the pies were $11 each. I thought, okay, so that's $22. $4 for tax. It has to be more than enough.
Way more.
I mean, it's like I'm giving them a tip. So I bring in the money. I bring in the note. I walk behind the counter. I put the money in the note on the cash register. I open up that big old refrigerator, and I grab my 2 pies.
What pies were they?
Those pies happen to be apple and pecan.
Yeah.
Because those are the 2 best pies.
My mom's pumpkin pie. It's the best.
None.
Pecan pie is good.
I have to try your mom's pie before
it's freaking delicious.
Next podcast.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So, but the funny thing is so he's the Pie Bandit. This thing made national news. So he tells me about it. We're sitting at his house, and he shows me the video.
Wait, you're jumping a little bit ahead.
Go ahead, yeah.
Like one more piece of this.
Oh, there's one more piece. Okay.
Yeah, because the thing was, this all happened, and then 2 days later. And by the way, I went to Thanksgiving and told all my family members I kind of stole pies. I paid for them, but I kind of just took them. And so 2 days later, we get a text from our friends, and they said, "You two are criminals." We're like, "What?" The Baldwin Police Department, Baldwin, Missouri Police Department, posted on their Facebook page. They do a weekly roundup, and they posted a picture of our money and our note and explained that someone had come in a couple hours after us, apparently, found that note and called the police.
Oh, no.
They called the police.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you.
No.
So that's on the weekly roundup. Then I'm over at my in-laws, maybe about 2 hours later in the morning, and my mom calls me. And she said, Brian, I was just listening to Camel X. And the news report came on, and they said 2 pies were taken at the Baldwin Honey Baked Ham store. And she's like, it's making the news.
Yeah.
And then the day goes on. Fox 2 News picks it up. Then News Channel 4. Then News Channel 11. Then News Channel 5. Everyone's picking it up. And I'm like, whoa. So then the next day it comes around, and at this point, the keyword to search where I would find all the news stories, and the line that everyone picked up was, we put on the note, in desperate need of pies. The note was, Happy Thanksgiving. We were in desperate need of pies. Left money, took pies. Thanks. No name.
But my favorite part was
Go ahead.
The news clip that I saw was a Baldwin police officer. At first, there was some lady going, I don't think what they did was necessarily wrong, but I wouldn't do anything like that. She's like, because this is a nice area or whatever. But the police officer goes, well, I mean, obviously, he really didn't do anything wrong. They didn't really do anything wrong because they left enough money for a tip plus, or for taxes plus more.
Right.
So they technically didn't steal anything, but we don't really recommend people doing this. And I saw that and I lost it. I was like, oh my goodness, that's so funny because that's my buddy Brian that did that.
Not to mention, the cop was laughing through his thing. He's like, yeah, he left enough money for the pies and tax.
Yeah. So, but when Brian told me this, I was like, dude, because he was hush-hush. He didn't know if he wanted to tell people other than, like, close friends and family about it.
Well, I didn't know if it was going to affect me professionally.
Professionally, because, he works for the radio station, and, he's got another job. It might look bad on him or whatever. But I told him, I said, when we get back going on this podcast, I am busting you out and making you do that because, and it legit is him, because he actually has footage. His wife has footage of him doing it.
For some reason, Kat decided to Snapchat me going into the store.
Yeah.
And then leaving with the pies. And you know what? Do you want me to show you the video? Oh, you should get my phone.
No, we'll put it up.
We'll release it?
We'll release it.
Deal.
Once this comes out, if it gets enough likes and whatever, we'll release the actual video footage of him doing it. And he also said that he is interested in releasing this podcast, this video, to the local news stations to let them know that he is the Pie Bandit, as I like to call him. So that's why it was funny because, he since the beginning of the thing, he's always called me Sasquatch because I've got a beard and I'm just a hairy dude. And so that's why we talked about becoming Sasquatch and the Pie Bandit. And I love it. That's what was so funny. But he told me that story one night. We were just sitting, and literally he just moved into his house, so he didn't have furniture. We were sitting on his floor.
Yeah, on the
hardwood floor upstairs in his house. He was showing me these videos of all the news reports and all this stuff, and he goes, wait a second, let me show you this. And he shows me the video his wife took of him doing it, proving that it actually is him. And I lost it. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. So I started asking my family about it, and my brother Josh, who lives in like 2 minutes away from that store, goes, yeah, I heard about it. I go, it was Brian. And he goes, that sounds about right. Everybody I told that it was Brian, and they're like, he's that type. Not that you stole anything.
No, you know what?
But it's the fact that you actually gave money.
Yeah.
And more money than you probably needed to do because you're not that type of guy that's going to cheat somebody out of anything.
Never.
But I love that story. I think it's hilarious.
You know what's hilarious, too? On the Rizzuto show, like we talked about, they mentioned it, and Rizzuto made a great point. At that time of year, I don't know what was going on, but it was a lot of negativity going on.
Yes, there was, yeah.
Whatever, politics or whatever. And he said, you know what? This is actually an extremely heartwarming news story about something from St. Louis.
Yeah.
And that touched me. I love that.
Yeah.
But one thing that was really funny, this publication in town called the Riverfront Times picked this up.
I didn't know about this.
So this is hilarious. So the Riverfront Times, I'll be honest with you, I think they're scumbags. I think they're real biased. And I think
they're very liberal.
Yeah, and you know what?
We're not trying to. I shouldn't say that because we're not trying to be political. Nothing
but,
like that.
But you know what? But you're not wrong. They are biased, and the thing is, they pick up the story, and man, they called me every name under the sun.
Really?
They called me a burglar. They called me a thief, and the best one of all, my favorite line. I think it's the last line of the story. They called me a delinquent.
Well, that's about right. He nails all three of
goofy.
those guys. I'll tell you the truth. As knowing him for what, going on 11, 12 years, something like that, he's a delinquent. Yeah, he is.
Wow, thanks
His
a lot.
mom paid me to be his big
shut
brother
up.
so that, I would keep him out of trouble.
My mom,
Your mom is
she
awesome.
had to hire a hitman against you, and the guy failed, but he tried his best.
Oh, he did this. So.
Oh! And then the last piece of the story I want to mention, I think that this is such a hilarious part. We're at my in-laws. Three days after this happened, and they already knew that this had happened, and they had a friend over, an old friend from college. And she lives in Ohio, really sweet lady. And all of a sudden, we start talking about this story to her parents, just kind of, just mentioning what's going on. Oh, it's all over the news, this and that. And the woman goes, she didn't really know it was us when we started talking about it. She goes, oh, I heard that story. I heard it on NPR today. And we went, you did?
That's funny.
And she's like, yeah, how silly. And we go, that was us. And she's like,
Well, didn't you say it made? You said it made USA Today or something?
no, it made the Today Show.
Today Show. That's what it was.
And it made NPR. And then it made, it was even in it was in the Oklahoma Times, Tennessee picked it up. It went, honestly, worldwide. There was one Asian publication I saw that picked it up.
It went viral. That wasn't without being viral because
Yes.
So.
But Jed decided that he wanted to reveal
I wanted to out you, boy.
that I, Brian McKenna of the 90s Guys podcast, co-hosted by Jedediah Walls, is the Pie Bandit. And I also like to say that my wife should share some blame. She was in on it.
She was an innocent bystander, and you know it. You're like, I'm gonna steal these pies.
By the way, it's so funny. Everyone kept saying, yeah, they breaking and entering. Man, the door was open. And listen, okay, in hindsight, and by the way, I had to tell my work about this. I'm like, listen, I don't know if they're going to find out it's me, but if they do, please don't fire me. I really like it here. And my boss real nicely said, yeah, do me a favor, don't do that again. I'm like, noted.
So, I mean, I guess next year you're going to have to get your pies legit.
Next year, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Honey Baked Ham store, and I've thought about this. I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to say, you remember that story last year about the guy in the pies? I'm going to say, well, it was me, and I want my fucking receipt. Where's my receipt? And I'm owed change. I am owed change.
Oh, sorry. I had to have
you're
do
funny.
that story. That was a friggin' riot. I lost it when he told me about it. I mean, he was telling me about it. He pointed out the Rizzuto show where it was at, all the whatever. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this is you. And then he shows me the video of it, and I was like, oh, my goodness, it is you. That doesn't surprise me. And it's the fact that doesn't surprise me is because you left money. You're that type of guy
I know.
that you will leave money. Because, like you said, you're a small business owner.
I would never.
I was
try to
helping
screw
you today
someone.
with one of your small businesses.
Yeah.
So you would never cheat anybody out of money, but you really needed pies. And why didn't you just go to Schnucks?
Schnucks was closed.
Schnucks was closed?
Schnucks was closed. Deerberg's was closed.
Walmart?
Save-A-Lot was closed.
Your Save-A-Lot's going to be closed.
Walmart was not closed, but we were nowhere close to a Walmart, and we were running late, which is typical of my wife, not of me.
Why? See, now you're just blaming your wife again.
Oh, you want me to call her and ask her?
Yes, right now.
Give me my phone.
No.
Okay.
We don't have that kind of
We
time.
don't have that kind of time, even though it's a podcast.
Yeah. So
That's funny. Well, Jed, thank you for revealing me. And what do you think the odds are of a news organization actually acknowledging this?
that would be fantastic if they did, and I kind of wish they would, to be honest with you. Just not for the fact that maybe it might make us blow up. I think it's a fantastic story.
I do too.
I think it's hilarious, good spirited. To be honest with you, I mean, it's the holidays.
Yeah.
We've all felt like rushed and like everything's going on during the holidays. you didn't really do anything wrong because you left money. It's not like you actually stole the pies. You left them money.
You know what the only thing I did wrong was? I guess I left the store open. I left and I didn't alert anyone that the store was open.
Yeah,
so someone else could have.
Yeah.
That's the one hindsight thing I said,
But the other thing is what you're saying is you said another customer went in there.
Right.
So obviously it did not look like the store was closed. Because somebody else went in there.
Right.
So.
And also, I should also mention, there were security cameras in there. And I thought, they're going to see my face. And so what I did when I walked in with the money and the note, I waved it in front of the security camera. I'm like, here it is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, but Brian, thank you so much for sharing that story. I have been wanting you to share the story on the podcast since you told me. And I wanted to make sure you were comfortable with it before we did it. I mean, it's been long enough that
it's been plenty of time.
Yeah, and I mean, like the cop said, I mean, you technically didn't do anything wrong. It's just frowned upon.
It's frowned upon.
So
they're not mad; they're just disappointed.
Yes, it's, you're not really grounded, but you're on thin ice.
You're on thin ice. No TV for a week.
Yes. So, but
well, that was fun. That was fun to tell. So thank you for bringing that.
Yeah.
up.
So I think that's a pretty good episode.
That was a full episode almost.
So we're gonna just end this one here. Brian, thank you again for sharing that story.
Yep.
It's a riot.
Thank you, Sasquatch.
This is kind of what you're welcome. We're gonna this is, I guess, kind of how we're just gonna do this podcast from now on. Just us being goofy, telling stories. Because we've been friends for a while, so we have stories about ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
The two of us doing stuff. I have plenty of stupid stories that I can come up with to tell. But I mean, we're also getting the '90s stuff too. We're gonna come up with some. We're gonna do games again, like we used to do. I do have some segments that I'm interested in doing, like maybe podcasts of the week. Because I'm huge into listening to podcasts. I don't just do podcasts for the to do it. I actually listen to a ton of podcasts.
You're a fan of podcasts.
I'm a huge fan of podcasts. So I'd like to do that, but we're just kind of getting back into the rhythm of doing this because we've been off for like 4 months, 5 months, something like that. So and we're trying it differently. But yeah, just be patient with us for now. But I don't know. I think this story killed it, to be honest with you. So
thanks, bud.
We are gonna go reload on some beer, and I think we're gonna try to do at least one more episode tonight.
I would like to.
Okay.
This is what this episode we weren't really that litty. I'm gonna pound like 3 beers before the next one. Okay. So if you're watching this one, you'd be a fool not to watch the next one.
Right. So
should we give a little shout out though? Let's do a quick. Don't forget follow us at the 90s Guys Podcast with a Z.
Yep.
And email Jedediah at the 90s Guys Podcast @gmail.com. That's how it's done.
Yep. And yeah, we're on all social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's the one I always forget.
Yep.
So yeah, and like I said, hit up our Patreon if you want to. I know we talked a little bit about the last episode. We really would like your guys' help. We're not begging or whatever, but if you like the show and you've listened to us from season 1 on, and you feel like you want to donate, it's just going to make the show better. We're going to work on getting the studio better, lighting and all that stuff, and just getting us out there.
We would never ever beg you for money, but please, just give $1 or something.
God, you're ugly when you cry.
Oh, you love it. All right, let's end it right here.
Yep.
My name's Brian.
And I'm Jed.
We are the 90s Guys, and we will see you next time. Dude.